In 2018, the current generation of consoles are the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the Nintendo Switch. The last generation of consoles was the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3, the Wii U, and Sony's handheld, the PlayStation Vita. So what do all of these last-gen consoles have in common, you might be asking? Well, they all supported Minecraft. That is, until now. As time goes on in gaming and in tech, last-generation items are quickly relegated to the dustbin of history and often go unnoticed for the rest of their days until they eventually go retro. Phones, tablets, and more are thrown out almost on the yearly, and while consoles have had a bit of a longer lifespan, that isn't to say that they don't eventually die out. When was the last time you picked up a GameCube controller? Smash players don't answer that. Everyone else, it's probably been a while. With millions of people staying on their last generation consoles, it begs the question, should they be forced to phase out, or should we continue to support those last generation consoles? And when is the cutoff date? In this video, we're going to talk about a very serious topic in gaming and how a recent revelation is going to impact last generation players of Minecraft. So let's go ahead and let's get right into it. On May 9th, 2012, the world was greeted with the Minecraft Xbox 360 edition of the game by Mojang and 4J Studios. For over 6.5 years, 4J Studios continued to update this version of the game and the subsequent editions later on. On December 18th, 2018, the Xbox 360 edition of the game received its final update ever, and shortly after the PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita, and the Wii U versions as well. Clearly, this was a heart-wrenching blow to players that played on these consoles, as communities respond via friend-to-friend connections either through word of mouth or simply by meeting another person playing another game and then finding out you both had Minecraft. Players were devastated to find out that they've been left out of the loop. With no updates to look forward to, questions were raised. What's next? Will I eventually not be able to play with friends? How much longer do these versions have left? Where do we go from here? And honestly, there's really not a lot of answers right now. So what do we do now? As of right now, we know a few statistics. Back in May, Mojang announced that the Update Aquatic was going to be the final update for legacy editions of the game. And the reasoning? Only 5% of total players were using the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita, and Wii U versions of the game combined. While 5% doesn't seem like a lot, when you begin to realize that those 5% are people, it makes it more relatable than just a random number. Something important to note is that these players aren't locked out of the game, they're being locked out of updates. They can continue to play Minecraft as long as their console will let them, but they won't be able to play future versions of the game. There's no 1.13.3, there's no 1.14, there's no 1.15, nothing. They're stuck with what they have now. No patches, no fixes, it's done. If you were to ask me if this change would obstruct general playing, I'd have to say no. Would it put a damper on the community morale of these versions of the game though? Probably. Not many people want to play the forgotten game. Nobody wants to be left out of the loop, especially when the loop has exciting updates in the pipeline. The Minecraft community has continued to show that even when faced with problems, they can still stand tall and accept that they don't like something. The 1.9 combat update has made a lot of players go back to 1.8 and stay there or modify the game how they see fit from that version. If a player specifically likes his PlayStation 3, they can choose to stay there. But what's the lifespan of that console looking like? When will the servers shut down for the legacy Minecraft games and they won't be able to play with their friends anymore? What happens next? To put it simply, the fact that these versions of the game aren't the Bedrock edition makes them way harder to develop. Why develop 5 different versions of the game when you can develop only 1 or 2? Even though they don't look it, these versions of the game are different at their core, so it makes it really hard to keep coding in the same features 5 times in 5 different ways on what are arguably becoming yesterday's consoles. Mojang, Microsoft, and 4J Studios spread themselves way too thin at times, but kept up the work tremendously. Developers like Nintendo, who put out games like The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, have to worry about one thing: making a good game. The future expansions and whatnot are only a slight worry for them. They don't patch Breath of the Wild every few weeks, they don't add content twice a year, they made a good game and added to it twice for 2 consoles. Mojang, Microsoft, and 4J Studios are worrying about 7 consoles here, if not more. What 4J Studios was doing is considered by some people to be impossible. The man-hours that have gone into making sure that every little detail is up to standard on multiple systems is probably astounding. Game developers constantly talk about burnout and how often studios often push for deadlines. Whatever 4J was doing, they did it really well, and that deserves to be recognized. So what comes next for the people still playing these versions of Minecraft as their primary version of the game? Well, honestly, it's looking like now would probably be a good time to upgrade to a newer version of the game. In my opinion, Mojang should probably offer these users a gift code that would allow them to upgrade from their respective version of the game to the next generation version of the game. If they're on Xbox 360, they would get an Xbox One code. If they're on PlayStation 3, then they'd get a PlayStation 4 code, etc. When Minecraft Windows 10 Edition beta came out, Minecraft Java Edition players got a free code for that version of the game for quite a long time, almost as an initial indication that Java Edition would be getting discontinued, which we now know wasn't the case after all. As a prominently Java Edition player, I've never had to pay for the game multiple times unless I wanted another account with another name for whatever reason. Do I think Mojang will ultimately do this? To be honest, probably not. It's just something that's interesting to think about. That's all. When the new versions of these games come out, you let people upgrade, sometimes for free. Because of how small the player base for older console variants is, Mojang, Microsoft, 4J probably wouldn't lose too much money if they just gave codes to the legacy console's active player base. I'm not saying transfer skins and DLC, I'm just saying maybe the game itself. Back in the day, some versions of the game could be upgraded for $4.99. Bring that back. And if not, maybe give them $4.99 worth of DLC or something. Bedrock isn't limited to one computer, and Java Edition isn't either. I understand that consoles are different, but upgrading shouldn't be limited when the entire game is centered around updates. Unless Bedrock Edition is deemed as the official Minecraft version, it should be a free or a very cheap upgrade. What really worries me is if the online services for these versions of the game are due to be shut down anytime soon as well. If they're gonna really not update these versions of the game anymore, I hope they make sure that the system to push files to future versions of the game at the very least either stays online or stays in some sort of a downloadable form via SD card or hard drives or something of that nature. It really wouldn't be all that fair for anyone to lose tens, hundreds, or even thousands of hours of playtime just because they didn't upgrade on time. Losing progress is unfortunate and a killer on a game like Minecraft, where not only time is spent, but also creativity and a lot of passion. Seeing 4J Studios' recent thoughts and tweets and how they were truly passionate about these versions of the game really makes it feel like it's the end of an era of sorts. Without 4J Studios to work on these versions, Minecraft may have never ended up on consoles and introduced as many people to the game as it did. Like all versions of Minecraft, these games probably have a special place in many people's hearts. It is a little unfortunate to see them go. But what do you think? Are you upset about these versions not getting updated anymore? Do you think that players should just upgrade to the next generation consoles with or without having to pay? When do you think their cutoff time should be? And how long do the current generation consoles have left? Let me know in the comments section down below. If your first version of Minecraft was on a console edition of the game, feel free to share your story that you have in the comments as well. While I personally never played on the Xbox 360 version all that much, I definitely value how important Minecraft's first ever console edition was for the community as a whole. But other than that, that just about does it for me for now. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like on it, because it would really help out myself and Michaelmcchill, who co-wrote and edited this video, the channel and the video quite a lot. But anyways guys, I hope you all enjoyed. My name is AntVenom, and I bid you all farewell. Thanks so much for watching.